Running.
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम्
शिवसमारम्भाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
गुरुपरम्पराम्
वन्दे गुरुपरम्परम्
ॐ सहना
ॐ
ॐ
भवतु
सहना
सहनाववतु
सहनौ
भवतु
पुनक्तु
सहनौ
सह
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
वीर्यम्
भुनक्तु
सह
कर्वावहै
वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
मा विद्विषावहै
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति
शान्तिः.
शान्तिः।
Okay, so we had finished the second chapter, first section, Dvitiya Valli, Dvitiya Adhyaya is over. Prathama Valli, sorry. Now we are on Dvitiya Adhyaya, Dvitiya Valli. The second chapter, the second section, the first mantra. So we will chant. Please unmute yourself. Purameƙaddaṣadvaram
पुरमेकादशद्वारम्
पुरमेकादशद्वारम्
Ajasya Vakrachetasah
यस्य
अजस्यावक्रचेतसः
वक्रचेतसः
Anushthaya न शोचति
अनुष्ठाय
अनुष्ठाय न शोचति
विमुक्तश्च विमुच्यते
विमुक्तश्च
विमुक्तश्च
विमुच्यते।
विमुच्यते
एतद्वै तत्.
एतद्वैतत्
एतद्वैतत्
Okay, so this in this particular section, in this Valli, the second section, there are three major topics covered, which is the usual. In fact, most of the texts cover these topics only. The first is Atma Jnana, second is Atma Jnana Sadhana, the third is Atma Jnana Phala. This is generally the flow of almost any Upanishad. And here also it is not different. And here he takes an example. He says, Puram. Puri is a city. Where did you come across the word Puri before in Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavad Gita Navadvare Pure
नवद्वारे
Navadvare Puri Pure De.
Pure
Right? So same. There the Atma was said to be in a city with 9 gates. Here it is Ekadasha Dwara. Ekadasha means 11. So Puram, the city, Ekadasha Dwaram with 11 gates. Ajasya, which belongs to the birthless one, which is the Atma. And what is the nature of the Atma? Avakra Chetasaha, which is not differentiated in any manner. Avakra Chetasaha, consciousness. In the nature of undifferentiated consciousness, which means not subject to any change at all. While on the other hand, Maya, matter, is also eternal, but is constantly subject to change. So this idea is being pointed out that out of the two things which we are constantly presented with, which is consciousness and matter, one consciousness is completely uniform, undifferentiated, akhandaha, undivided, all pervading, and does not change and is eternal. The other thing which we are presented with is what? Matter. Matter is also eternal, but is constantly subject to change. And anusthaya, if you meditate on this, na sochati, a person will not have any grief. And having understood this idea that I am that consciousness which does not change at all, and I am using the body mind complex, which is changing matter, meditate on that. Anusthaya, having meditated and understood this, na shochati, I will not grieve. And what is the condition of a person who has understood this? Vimuktaha, he becomes a Jivan Mukta, liberated while living. So Vishesha Muktaha. liberated while in the body also. And vimuchyate cha, he becomes liberated after death also. So vimuktaha is Jivan Mukti, vimuchyate cha is Videha Mukti, etad vaitat. This indeed is that, O Nachiketas, which you have asked about. So here he presents the human body as having Ekadashadvaram, 11 gateways. And we might wonder what they are, right? So, because we have seen 9, we have seen 7. So Shankaracharya writes in his commentary that the 5 sense organs, which are all in the head, right? So he says 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth. Another way of presentation. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, 7, right? Then there are 2 gateways which remove waste. One removes solid waste and one removes liquid waste. That is 7 plus 2, 9. Right? Now remember that Navadware Pure Dehi covered these 9. And then there are 2 more gateways which Shankaracharya talks about. So 9 plus 2, 11. What are those 2? One is the Nabhi, the navel, right? This navel is used not only to receive food when you are in the womb of your mother, you receive food through the umbilical cord, which goes through the navel. So that's the 11th, 10th gateway. And the 11th gateway is called what? Any idea? We have talked about in Bhagavad Gita in the 8th chapter,
Yes.
Skull opening,
Yes.
opening Brahmarandha.
The Brahma Randra.
Brahmarandham. Right? Brahmarandham is the opening in the. And exactly what does it represent? Do you remember? What is the. What opens?
That's the exit for the Jivatma going to
Yeah.
It's a little bit more specific. We must be clear on all these things when we are studying.
Some chakra, is it some?
Well, chakra is a concept of yoga. Yes,
Yeah.
we'll talk about the chakra also, but we are not talking about that. We're talking about the Vedantic aspect, which is the Sushumna Nadi.
The
So,
exit ways of Jivatma.
yes, but it is the opening of the Sushumna Nadi. So remember that we talked about it in chapter 4, that at the period of death, the Jivatma withdraws from all the organs, from all the nadis. And if it is Saguna Upasaka, then he comes to Sushumna Nadi and exits through the exit of Sushumna Nadi, which is called the Brahmandam, then travels to where?
Brahmaloka.
Brahmaloka. Remember the Sushumna Nadi, when you say it is the Saguna Upasaka who is being talked about. We'll discuss this in much more detail in Brahma Sutras whenever we reach there. But Sushumna Nadi is the exit for the Saguna Upasaka traveling. Other upasakas, depending upon, or other jivas, depending upon their karmas, travel by various other openings. Okay. So anyway, that's much for this month. So Puram Ekadashva Dwaram. Those 9 openings which we talked about in the Navadware Pure Dehi sloka, plus the womb, plus the Brahman. That's 11 of them. And this Jivatma, what's his nature? Ajasya avakra chetaha. Chetaha means consciousness principle. And what is the nature of consciousness? You have to immediately recall the 5 principles. What are they? 5 principles of consciousness.
I'm not a product or property of the body.
Property of.
And then?
I'm an independent entity that lends sentiency to the body.
Right.
I'm not bound by spatial or time-wise boundaries. But I need a body, a reflecting medium to manifest, and
Yes.
I survive the death of the body.
Right. These five principles should be, hardwired into your brain. You should be able to recall them immediately. Okay. Then the question is, why should you want to know the Atma? Anushtaya means meditate upon. Gyatva also you can say, knowing that Atma, knowing such an Atma, what happens? The person does not grieve anymore, transcends grief, right? So when you say knowing, remember that if you say, I know Atma, you can be saying, I have an Atma which I know. That is Paroksha Jnana, right? That is indirect knowledge. And that is not conducive to moksha. But when you say that I am the Atma, then that is the correct knowledge, aparoksha jnana. So the journey for us is always for any sadhaka, is always from ajnana to paroksha jnana to aparoksha jnana. And once you have aparoksha jnana, na sochati muktascha muchyate. He does not grieve, he gets jivan mukti. When the body falls, he gets videha mukti. Okay. Now we go to mantra number 2, which is a bit of a, what do you call it? Mouth breaker. So you can see there's a small little bindu there after her. So that's a Vedic thing. It is Hagam, right? So we'll read. Please unmute yourself. Hagam Saha
Agum Saha
Agam
Agam
Saha
Saha
Suchisad Basurant Antarikshasad
Suchishad
Suchisat
Vasurantariksha
Vasurantarikshasat
Suchisad Vasurantarikshasad
Suchishat Vasurantariksha
Vasurantarikshasat
Shasad
Hota
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 Vedishad Iti
Vedishad
Vedishaditi
Vedishat Iti
Viduronasat
Vidurunasat
Vidurunasat
Drishad
Nrishad
Vrishad
Prasad Vrasad
Prasad
Vrasad
Vrisat
Ratasad
Ratasad
Ratasat
Vyomasad Sad
Vyomasat
Vyomasat
Jagoja
Vyagoja
Goja
Jagoja
Goja
Ritaja
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 Adrija
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 Ratambrahat.
Ritam
Ritam Tam
Ritam
Brahat.
Bharat
Okay. So you need to practice that several times if you want to get it right. Now look at the words. Brihad Ritam. Brihad is big one. Or you can take it as the ultimate or the infinite one. And Ritam means what? And don't say season. What's the meaning of Ritam? It's, Ritam means truth. So in this case, reality. So Brihad Ritam, the ultimate infinite truth, and Shuchi Sat, which dwells in the upper regions of the sky. So Suchi means the upper region of the sky. So dwells in the heavens. And Hagam Saha. So if that is not Vedic, that's a Vedic pronunciation. When it is not Vedic, it is simply Anuswara. So it becomes Hamsaha, right? So that when you pronounce it not in chanting, it's Hamsaha. So Hamsaha. So he says that ultimate reality, Shuchisat, which dwells in the upper regions of the sky or which dwells in Swarga, Hamsaha, like the sun. Why the sun is in the upper region of the sky, right? So now another thing, what does Hamsa normally mean?
Swan
Swan. So normally swan, but in this context, remember that it means Surya. So Hamsaha is Surya. Where is it found? Antarikshitam. In the space, interspace it is found. And this Atma is also found as what? Vasuhu. Vasuhu is the wind. Vedishat, which dwells on the earth, and also found as Hota, the fire. Agni Tattva. So normally The meaning of fire is what? The Agni Tattvam, the fire of the Homa. But Shankara says you extend the meaning. In his commentary, he says you have to extend this meaning to the one who is presiding over the fire. Who is that?
You told us that there are, he's the priest for that.
Yeah, the
There are
Hota.
many words. Hota is one of them.
Yeah.
Hota is the pujari in the
Acharaya.
ritual. Right. So yeah, exactly. There are many words depending upon which Veda it is. So you're talking about Hota. Hota is the priest. So he says, take the meaning as Hota, the one who's presiding over the fire. Right. Then Durena Sat. He dwells in the house as what? Atithi, as a guest. Right. Even for this, Shankara gives two meanings for Atithi. He says Atithi can be taken as the literal meaning of Atithi is what? Is defined as na dvitiya tithi eti atithi. You can understand?
Yes, the one who's there
Yes.
for a day.
There
The
is no
one who
date,
stays only for a day, who doesn't have a
only
second
for a
night in
day.
your house, right? So that was the original atithi. The original atithi does not mean somebody whom you know. Because in the old days, there were no guest houses and no hotels. So it was a duty of every householder to provide a night's stay for sadhakas who were wandering here and there. So that person had the dharma of not staying more than one night, which is exactly what it required. So nadvitiya tithi iti atithi. So it's not like today. But Shankara says take two meanings. One is take it as the somaha, that is the soma ras extracted from the soma plant, right? So there is a big ritual through which this soma plant is crushed. And after it's crushed, then the soma rasa is extracted and it has to be kept in a special vessel mandated by the karma kanda before the ras is offered to the Agni. So that vessel is called Durona. So that's what you see over there, Durona. That vessel is called Durona. The literal meaning of Durona is what? House. So it is the house for the water, for the special somaras, right? You can think in this context, you can think of it as a water pot, kalash, as we call it. So that's what he writes in his commentary. Soma, San, Durone, Kalashe, in the pot, Sat iti, Durona Sat. This Atma exists as Somarasa in the Durona, in the pot. And therefore it's called Durona Sat, existing in the pot. So normally you would never understand all this. Okay, so why it is called Durona Sat? This is the meaning. That Somarasa extracted from the Soma plant before being offered in the ritual is kept in a pot called the Durona. And therefore that Somarasa exists in the pot. Therefore Durona Sat. Sat meaning existing. Right? And he gives another alternative meaning. Brahmano Atiti Rupena. That is fairly clear. The Atiti in the form of a Brahman. Brahmin. Okay, that is one more meaning of Atma. What are all the descriptions? Atma is existing whereon, right? So what all is said so far? He has said Atma exists with Atma, that Brihad Ritam, that ultimate reality, which is found in the upper region of the sky or in heaven, as you say, exists as the sun, which is there in space, exists as the Vayu, the wind, which is there on earth, exists as the Hota, the Pujari in the ritual, exists as the Agni, also exists as the Atiti who dwells in the house and exists as, so these two meanings can be taken as the Soma juice in the pot or as the Brahmanaha Atiti Rupena, as the guest in the form of a Brahmin. Then Nirishat. Nirishat is Nara Sat. So exists in Naras, in people. Then Varasat. exists in gods, then Ritisat. So Ritam is Satyam or Yajna, right? So Ritam is normally the truth. Shankaracharya says take two meanings for it, either Satyam or Yajna. Satyam is very interestingly, he says Satyam you should take as Vyavaharika Satyam, the Vyavaharika Prapancha. In what form does Atma exist in the Vyavaharika Prapancha? If you are following the argument so far, he says Satyam has to be taken as Vyavaharika Satyam, Vyavaharika Prapancha. So Atma exists in what form?
Everywhere.
The body.
But
Prapancha is the universe. Okay, body also you can take,
mhm.
but Prapancha is the universe. Remember
Panchmahabhuta,
when, sorry,
Panchmahabhutas,
Panchamahabhutas you can say,
RC.
RC also you can say, but remember Atma,
Ishvara,
Atma lends what to
Hiranyagarbha.
the to the universe?
Existence, Chittanama.
Very satta
Or
itself. The satta
yes,
is existence, right? So if you're taking prapancha, Atma lends the very satta itself, the very existence itself, Atma lends. That's why Shankara says take it as Satyam. Satyam here meaning it is the that which lends the satta, the existence itself. Also he says, or you can take it as Yajna, as the Devata who is worshipped in a Yajna. And therefore Atma resides in all these manners, right? And Vyoma Sat. Vyoma Sat means, Vyoma means space. So now you have to connect the whole thing. You already said Antariksham Atma resides, right? As what? Surya and Vayu. So again you are saying Vyoma Sat. So here Shankara says, because we have already said that in interspace or in that space, Surya Devata is there and Vayu is also there. You can take this Vyomasat as as residing in space, anything other than Surya and Vayu. The argument is very, subtle. That we have already said, mentioned two things. So that is Surya and Vayu. We don't want to repeat that. So now, because of this second mention of Vyomasat, dwelling in space, you have to take it as objects which are other than Surya and Vayu. What could they be? What are the objects in space other than Surya and Vayu? Come on, just look up.
All the other planets, all.
Exactly. All the moons, all the planets, all the galaxies, even birds will come out of that. Because they're also in space, right? So covering when by using all these, what is happening? Atma is presented as present in everything. And therefore remember that the word sat, which is the suffix at the end of each of these words, Vyoma sat, etc. That word sat simply means existing in, right? So you have up to there, Vyoma sat. Then next word is what? Abja. Right? You have to be very careful about these words because I'm breaking them up over here, and therefore when you read these broken words, you have to be able to find in those complex. So Nrishat, Varasat, Ritasat, Vyomasat that we have seen. The next part is Abjaha. Abja means that which is born from up. Up is what?
Water.
Waters.
water.
Abjaha, born in the waters. Then Gojaha. Go is another word for earth also, right? And therefore, Gojaha, born on earth. Then Ritajaha. Rita here is a ritual. Ritajaha, which is born or used in rituals, all the accessories which are used in rituals. and Adrijaha. So Adrija means originating from the mountains, right? What originates from mountains? The rivers. So in short, what is the lesson here is that I am the consciousness principle, Brahman. So Brahad here means the highest, rhythm is the truth, highest truth, Brahman I am. And what is Brahman? Brahman is the cause of everything that he mentions. So I am the cause of everything. I am Sarva Karana, right? Once I say I am Brahman, the Karanam of everything, then everything else becomes what? The Karya. So I am the Karanam, the creator. The entire universe is the Karyam, the created. And therefore, the first creation which you see in the morning is what? Surya. So you worship Brahman in the form of Surya. You also worship Brahman in the form of Vayu. All these you have seen earlier. Any natural force can be worshipped. And Hota. So Hota is Agni Tattvam. Take it as Agni Tattvam, right? Priest has to be, the word Hota here has to be taken as the Agni Tattvam itself. The Pratyaksham Devam, that manifested Lord. So the first Devam is what? Agni Tattvam. So Brahman is worshipped as Agni Tattvam, right? Second one is Vayu. That is the second manifested form of Brahman. So he was worshipped as Vayu also. Similarly, Surya also. And therefore, remember that each of these mantras, each of these words have a very specific meaning over here. They have to be interpreted according to the commentaries of the of the gurus of Shankaracharya. And therefore, you cannot just take a dictionary and try to understand these words. They're all there, but you'll be completely confused if you just look at the dictionary. Therefore, all contextual meanings are there. What is the final message? Everything is Brahman alone, and that Brahman I am. And only if I understand this point that everything is Brahman, and that Brahman is none other than me. Therefore, Jivatma is Paramatma, and Paramatma is everything. Only if I know that, I will know that the universe does not exist separate from me. And when I know that, what do I understand? The universe is nothing but Nama Rupa, which borrows existence from me. Therefore, the existence of any object belongs to me alone. I alone lend existence to every object. So the gist of the mantra is Atma is the only one which pervades the entire creation. And there are no different Atmas. There is only one Atma. So this is the Tatparim of the mantra. That one Atma which I am, I pervade the whole universe. There is nothing else. There is no second Atma. Very profound mantra, very difficult to chant also. But I hope you guys will keep on trying. Okay. Right. Now we go to mantra number 3. So please unmute yourself. ऊर्ध्वं प्राणमुन्नयति
ऊर्ध्वं
ऊर्ध्वं
प्राणमुन्नयति
प्राणमुन्नयति
अपानं प्रत्यगस्यति
अपानं
प्राणं प्रत्यगस्यति
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 मध्ये वामनमासीनं
मध्ये
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 वामनमासीनं
वामनमासीनं
विश्वे देवा उपासते
विश्वे
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 देवा
देवा
उपासते
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 So you have to supply the word Atma first. Okay. So Atma, Pranam, Urdhvam, Unnayati. Unnayati means pulls. Urdhvam means upwards. Prana is prana. So Atma pulls the prana upwards. And again, Atma has to be supplied. Atma apanam pratyak asyati. Asyati sends apanam, apanam, the apana it sends where pratyak downwards. Then Vishve Devaha. So here it is, Vishve Deva means all the sense organs. Vishve Devaha Upasate Vamanam. All the sense organs worship this Vamanam, this adorable Atma. And where is it found? Madhye Asinam. Asinam, it sits, it resides, Madhye, in the middle of the body. The body has to be supplied, right? Dehe Madhye. What is Madhye of the body? What is in the middle of the body? The heart. So the Atma, it resides in the heart. So this is being said. That Brahman is, I Brahman, am present everywhere. And therefore, when I say Asinam Madhye resides in the heart, I have to say also resides in the heart. Because you cannot just say resides in the heart. That might give the idea that it is a limited entity residing in the heart. And therefore, this Brahman, this Atma, resides everywhere, is all pervading, but is available, is recognizable as the consciousness principle in the heart. And what? The heart is the golakam of what?
The
Mind.
Acharaya.
Mind.
The mind.
Mind.
Therefore, heart can be taken as mind also. Atma is available, means is recognizable in the mind. Right. So, what is the proof that Atma is available in my mind?
Vrittis,
Beg your pardon?
all the thought patterns, everything can be done
Yes.
through that. And it comes from OC. Like at least, I mean, RM and then OC, then RM, then
When I
the
say
mind.
what is the proof, then you should ask yourself the question, what is the proof that there is electricity in your house?
Because the fan can move, that means we can do actions.
Because the fan is moving, the light is on, your laptop is on, your
Yes.
phone is on, right? And therefore, the proof comes from the appliances, right? Similarly, the fact that you are thinking, that proves that you're thinking, you're walking, you can do things. That proves that you have Atma present in you, in the body, right? So, in the case of gadgets, like fans and tube lights, it is because of the power, electricity that they function. In the case of the Sthula Shariram, the fact that you are breathing is the proof that your Sukshma Shariram is active. The fact that your Sukshma Shariram is active is because Atma is blessing that Sukshma Shariram, and in turn, Atma is blessing through the Sukshma Shariram, Atma is blessing the Sthula Shariram. So Yamaraj is saying that your breathing is happening because of the Atma alone. So he says Apanam. Okay, now this is something which we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita also, but it is worthwhile repeating because in Yoga Shastra or the common usage, Apana Prana have different meanings. And in our, what we call Vedantic usage, they have a different meaning. Normally, prana is taken as inhalation, is it not?
Yes.
Yes.
But apana is, when you say apana functioning, the prana called apana is functioning, in which direction does that function happen?
Downwards.
Downwards. Right? So, adho gacchati apanaha. That apana moves downwards. And when you inhale, the air moves in which direction?
Upwards.
Downwards.
Downward.
Therefore, apan in Vedantic terminology, apanam is inhalation. Of course, apanam has another Meaning also, apana's function is to remove waste from the body, right? So that also is there. Then, so that who is doing this? Atma alone. Okay. Right. And after the inhalation, what happens? The impure air is thrown outwards. So, urdhvam pranam unnayati. Urdhvam means upwards. The prana, exhaled impure air, is thrown upwards. Therefore, exhalation is prana. So who does this? Atma alone. Okay, one point here is that whenever we use the word prana in Shastram, at least mentally you have to be careful because if you are talking about prana, it can denote the indriyas also. Right? We have seen elsewhere also that prana denotes indriyas also. So when you have to distinguish, then if you are talking about pancha prana, we normally use the words mukhya prana. If you are talking about the indriyas, we use the word. You've been forgetting. We have done this so many times. In Bhagavad Gita also we use this terminology. When we talk about indriyas, we say gauna prana, figurative pranas. Why is indriya, gauna prana and pancha prana, mukhya prana? Because what gives life to the indriyas? The mukhya prana itself, the pancha prana. Therefore, pancha prana is mukhya prana and sense organs, indriyas are gauna pranas. And where is Atma residing? Asinam Madhye, in the middle of the body. Therefore, the heart becomes the Garbhagraha, the place where the Lord resides. And that is why Angushta Matraha, the size of the thumb. And therefore, Vamanam. What is Vamanam? Literally,
Short.
it's a dwarf.
Small.
Okay, dwarf, so short. Right? And Vamanam has also another meaning, which is adorable. So, and Devaha can, in this context, the word Devaha can mean the gods. It can also mean sense organs. Therefore, here the word Vamanam is referring to the fact that it is the Angushta Matra, reference. It is residing in the heart. Heart is supposed to have the space equal to the thumb, right? And therefore, Vamanam is a reference to Angushta Matra Atma. Okay, Deva can meet gods as well as the sense organs. And how do we say that these devas, the sense organs, worship the Atma? So you have to look at the ritual. When you worship the Lord in a ritual, what are you actually doing? When you say Swaha, what do you do?
You do some offerings to the
Offering.
Ishvara.
Offerings. Remember that the word Swaha is uttered when you are offering. If you are saying offering, let us say coconut. When you put the coconut into the fire, then it says Swaha. It literally means this is yours, is no longer mine. Right? So you offered. So if you take that meaning, then when sense organs are worshipping Atma, they are making some offerings, right? What are they offering? There's only one thing which sense organs can offer. What is that?
Sense pleasures.
Sense objects. Okay, so the
Yes.
eyes can offer form and colors, the ears can offer sound. Why do we say this? Because of Atma alone, the awareness of colors and forms are there in the mind. The sense organs are offering the relative form, color, sound, etc. to the Atma. That's very picturesque way of saying that is the worship. Therefore, all the sense organs are offering all the sense objects to the Atma as offerings, as Naivedyam, as they call it. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. We go to mantra number 4. We will chant. Ayam Visram Samanasya
Ayam
Ayam
Samanasya
samanasya
Asya Visram Samanasya
Asya
asya
Visram
visram
Samanasya
samanasya
Sharirasthasya Dehinaha
Sharirasya Dehinaha
sharirasthasya
Deha Vimuchyamanasya
Dehat
deha
Vimuchyamanasya
vimuchyamanasya
Deha Vimuchyamanasya
Dehat
dehat
Vimuchyamanasya
vimuchyamanasya
Kimatra Parishishyate
Kimatra
kimatra
Parishishyate
parishyate
Etadvai Tat
Etadvaitat
एतद्वैतत्
So Asya Dehinaha. Asya first word, Dehinaha. Last word. What is Dehinaha? Bhagavad Gita care of.
Atma.
the body.
What is the derivation of Dehi?
that which is burnt.
Atma.
Dehe Tishtati iti Dehi.
Hmm.
The one who lives in the body is the Dehi. It's a fundamental principle we talked about in chapter 2 in Bhagavad Gita. Dehi. Right? So who is in the body? The Atma. Therefore, Dehi means Atma. So Asya Dehina. When this Atma, and where is Atma? Sharira, Sharirasthasya. Shariraha Sthaha. Who resides in the body. Now, when you say Atma resides in the body, are you talking about RC or OC?
RC.
RC.
Sure.
Yes.
It's both, no?
Yes. Unless
Ah.
OC pervades the body, you cannot get the RC. Okay. But here, to decide if it is RC or OC, you have to look at the full mantra. So he says, Asya Dehinaha Sharirasthasya. This Atma which is residing in the body, Visramanasya gets detached, leaves the body. Now what does it make it? RC or OC?
RC.
RC.
Why can it not be the OC?
All
OC
pervading.
cannot move. OC cannot
It
go
cannot
anywhere.
move.
All pervading. There is
OC pervades everything, therefore OC will be there even in a dead body. Okay. As what? As the Sat principle. The dead body exists or not, it does. It's not conscious. Therefore, the consciousness principle, which is embedded with Sukshma Shariram. In the sense,
Sukshma
consciousness
Shariram.
is recognized only in the Sukshma Shariram. Because subtle body is left, you cannot recognize consciousness in the dead body. Dead body, consciousness and Sat existence both are there. But the dead body can reflect existence, therefore we can see it. It cannot reflect consciousness because the subtle body, which is the actual reflector of consciousness, has gone. And therefore, when you say asya dehina sharirasthasya visramamanasya, you are saying that RC, when it leaves the body, vimuchyamanasya deha, it is free from the body. Vimuchyamanasya deha, when it is free from the body. Kim parishishyate, what remains? Atra, in this body. So, kim atra parishishyate, what remains in this body? Okay, this is a rhetorical question. What's a rhetorical question?
A repetition.
The question which does not need an answer. It's actually a sort of a statement. So when he says Kim atra parishishyate, what remains indeed? It's a unsaid answer. Nothing remains. Which means what? Once the RC has left the body, which means once subtle body has left the physical body, what happens to the physical body?
Decompose.
Nothing. If you suppose you don't do anything to the physical body, right? The physical body remains, let us say, lying somewhere. It will smell, it will stink, it will decompose, it will degenerate, it will turn into bones, and finally, even the bones will go away, right? So nothing remains. That's the answer to this question. Kim atra parishashate? When the subtle body has left, nothing remains. And Shankara comments in his commentary, in his bhashya, you have to understand that when the Chidabhasa, the RC leaves the physical body, what is being said is that the power of the physical body to function goes away. The power of the physical body to function is given by the koshas. The koshas are in the subtle body. When you say Chidabhasa leaves, you are saying the Jivatma Chidabhasa leaves. Therefore, the power of the physical body to function, to be alive, is destroyed and it disintegrates and goes away. And what is that which enables all this? Etad vaitat. This is indeed that. This Atma is indeed that Atma which you have asked about, hey Nachiketas. All these ideas are borrowed and presented in which chapter of Bhagavad Gita? There is one very potent verse which says that when it leaves, it takes everything along with it. You remember? Kramantam sitam vapi. Which chapter?
15.
15th chapter. So go back, read those verses. It says, gives the same idea over here. The Atma, when it leaves, the Jivatma drags everything and goes. Not only the physical body remains behind. And therefore, the idea being presented here is that all the actions of the body, when you experience, how can you ever question the existence of Atma? So if you actually experience all the actions of the body, being born, growing, living, thinking, getting sick, getting better, eating, if you question the power which makes all these things happen, then you are a vimudaha. Vimudaha is a visheshena mudaha, special mudaha, right? Therefore, as long as the body has the blessings of the Atma, the body is alive. But when this blessing is withdrawn by way of the Sukshma Shariram leaving, then the body doesn't exist later. So the sense organs have got only limited powers. All those powers are derived from the Atma itself. Etad vaitat. This Atma is the one which you asked about. Hey Nachiketas. So we will do one more mantra today. The fifth mantra. Let us chant. Na pranena panena
न
न प्राणेन
प्राणेन
पानेन
mrityo जीवति कश्चन
मृत्यो
मर्त्यो जीवति
जीवति
कश्चन
कश्चन
इतरेण तु जीवन्ति
इतरेण
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 जीवन्ति
जीवन्ति
इतरेण तु जीवन्ति
इतरेण
इतरेण
इतरेण तु जीवन्ति
यस्मिन्नेतावुपाश्रितौ
Yasmineta
Pushitau.
Pushitau.
So, kaschana mrityaha jivanti. Mrityaha means the one who is subject to death, the mortal. Kaschana mritya jivanti. No mortal lives, or a mortal lives. Na pranena, not by prana, na apanena, not by apana. So, in other words, no mortal lives because of prana or apana. It is not because of the prana or the apana or the jnanendriyas that a person lives, right? What is being said is that it is not the sukshma shariram which gives life to sthula sharira. Why?
The Sukshma Shariram itself borrows the existence from Atma.
Correct. So, in other words, sukshma shariram is anatma, sthula shariram is also anatma. Sukshma shariram has a little extra characteristic. It can reflect consciousness directly. Sthula Shariram cannot do that. It is Sukshma Shariram which borrows this consciousness from Atma, and while being present in Sthula Shariram, it is able to lend that consciousness to Sthula Shariram. This is all part of Tattva Bodha. What is the proof that Sthula Shariram can borrow consciousness only from Sukshma Shariram and not from Atma?
Death, when Sukshma Shariram leaves, the Sthula Shariram does not reflect.
So you have to use the Anvaya Pratireka argument. If Sthula Shariram could directly borrow consciousness from Atma, what would be the result?
There will never be a dead body.
There will never be any dead body, right? It is because Sukshma Shariram leaves and therefore the lending stops. That is why the Sthula Shariram dies. So that's what is being said. Na pranena na apanena kaschan mritya jivati. But jivanti, they live. All the bodies live. Itarena, because of something else. Yasmin, upon which etau, these two. Which two?
Prana Apana.
Prana apana. Yasmin, etau, upashitau. So that's dual case because there are two things. Yasmin, etau, upashitau. These bodies live because of something else. Jivanti itarena, because of something else. Yasmin etau upashritahau. On which these two, prana apana, are dependent. What is that? Etat vaitat. This Atma is indeed that, O Nachiketas. Right? This Atma is the one which lends life, even prana apana, to the Sukshma Sharira. Right? What is the logic? So Shankara in his commentary writes, Esham samhatya karitvat. Since all organs are part of the assembly. What assembly?
The body mind sense complex.
Body mind sense complex. Since all organs are part of the body mind sense complex assembly, they pararthana, they function for the benefit of someone else. Right. So this is a good idea. Like the car which you have, which is an assembly, it functions for whose benefit?
The owner.
The owner. And the owner is outside the assembly, right? So therefore, simply the same argument is being borrowed. The organs which are part of an assembly, pararthanam, some parartha functions for the benefit of somebody else who is outside the assembly. So we can add something here that all the organs are inert because any component of any entity is inert only. And in creation, therefore, everything is jadam. At Vyashti and Shamashti, everything is jadam. And therefore, Shankara says, they cannot be the cause of giving life to the body. Jivan hetutvam na upapadyate. Very beautiful statement that because these organs are part of an assembly and are functioning for benefit of somebody else, they cannot be the cause of giving life to the body. So this mantra is an answer to a possible question from Nachiketas. How can Atma leave the body? After all, Atma is sarvagataha, all pervading, yanam sarvam idam tatam, we said. Therefore, Atma is always in the body, whether a live body or a dead body. Atma is always in a body. And therefore, it is the Sukshma Shariram which quits the body. Along with Sukshma Shariram, the Pranamaya Kosha is there. And therefore, when subtle body quits the physical body, Pranamaya Kosha also quits. The prana also quits. Therefore, prana is responsible for making the physical body alive. Okay. So, okay. Now, prana is composed of what? What is the composition of prana? Tattabuda.
Rajoguna.
Rajoguna. But this Rajoguna is jada or sentient.
Jada.
Jada.
Why do you say that?
Created
Gunas.
from the five
Gunas
elements.
is Maya. Maya
Maya.
is sentient or jada. Maya is jada.
Jada.
Therefore, how can you say that this jada rajogunaha or this jada subtle body, sukshma shariram, can give life to another jada, physical body? That is a question. Okay. If you are saying, we don't ask this question, Nachiketas might have asked. So Yamaraj is replying before that. What is the question? You are saying that because sukshma shariram left, that physical body died. But hey Yamaraj, sukshma shariram is what? In this case, we are talking about pranamaya kosha. Pranamaya kosha is what? Rajoguna of Panchamaha. Panchamahabhuta is what? Jada. Therefore, Sukshma Shariram and Prana are both Jada. How are you saying, O Yamaraj, that one Jada Sukshma Shariram is responsible for giving life to another Jada physical body? Right? Remember that even Atma cannot make the physical body sentient. It is not the limitation of the power of the Atma, but it is a limitation of the physical body, that the physical body cannot directly borrow consciousness from the Atma, but requires the appropriate medium, which is a subtle body, to receive the consciousness from Atma. This connecting pipeline is very important. This connecting pipeline, the connector, as they call it in electronics, is the prana. But even though prana is important in connecting the Atma's consciousness to the body. Remember, Atma alone is the primary cause of sentience for the body. This is what is being conveyed in this mantra. With this, we'll end for today. Any questions? There's nothing new. All this we have seen in Tattva. It is just being repeated for Nachiketas's benefit.
Sir, can you repeat the last sentence? The some network issue. I just missed it. I'm sorry.
What is this? What are you about? I'm saying that
The
it is prana, which is the connecting agent, which because of this prana, because of this sukshma shariram, the Atma is able to lend consciousness to Sthula Shariram. The idea conveyed is that it is not Sukshma Shariram which is the primary cause of life for the physical body. The Sukshma Shariram is only the connecting, the pipeline. When water comes in your tap, the pipeline to the municipal tank is important to bring the water to the tap. But the pipeline is not the cause for the water being in your tap. The cause is the water tank. That's what is being said here. The water tank here is
Yes,
Atma,
sir.
and the pipeline is Sukshma Shairam, the prana.
Again, we can say RC and RM. They are just the medium to bring the consciousness in the body.
I
Or
would,
from OC
that's
to RM.
when OC comes in contact with RM, what is generated is called the RC. There is no RC apart from the OC and the RM.
Yes, sir.
So with this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your
Om
patience.
Namah Shivaya.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Thank you,
much.
Acharya
sir.
ji.
So much.